Hello everyone, FPL Raptor here and welcome to the final video of pre-season. The time has almost arrived. Probably when you're watching this it will be about 24 hours until the Game Week 1 deadline, which is Friday, just to confirm. So it's time for my team selection video. Obviously, this is subject to one or two changes on Friday if there are any updates in the press conferences or potential injuries that we didn't consider. However, this is pretty much how I will line up. I'm also just going to show you an alternative draft, which could end up being the draft I go with if I make any late decisions on the Friday. However, I'm pretty sure this is roughly what I'm going to be going with. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, jumping straight into the video, you can see straight away that I've now gone back to a 3-4-3. If you've been following me on Twitter and you've been following the videos so far, I keep flip-flopping between a 3-4-3 and a 3-5-2, and essentially that is what my last decision comes down to. So, the draft that I'm favouring at the moment is the 3-4-3, and I'll explain in a minute why. If you wait until the end of the video, I'm also going to show you a 3-5-2 draft that I may end up going with, and it will be one of those two. And the actual draft itself doesn't change much between the two. It's just that one is a 3-4-3, one's a 3-5-2. So it's essentially just changing a midfielder for an attacker. So I will go through that at the end. As you can see in the defence, Trent and Shaw are the two that have been present in all of my drafts. The only reason that I wouldn't have gone for Shaw is just because of injury concerns, but he looks fit now. I'm always going to have Trent. As I said before, Trent was top for expected assists and big chances created last season per 90, and Shaw was in the top 5 for both, also top for key passes. So both of them are really creative. They both have fantastic fixtures, and they both have those potential for those 15 and 18 pointers. So I'm definitely going to have both of those. I can't see any reason in the next 24 hours why I would take either of those out. Obviously, the new addition is Tsimikas. I hope I'm saying that right, Kostas Tsimikas. So he's 4 million, Liverpool fullback. For those of you that haven't been following, he looks like he'll replace Robbo whilst Robbo is injured. Now, I do understand that there's a very high likelihood that he'll only get 2 or 3 game weeks, but I'm willing to take that risk. I know it blocks me getting Jota, but I wasn't set on Jota, and I think there are other options at that price. And I think with Firmino now back, Jota is certainly less appealing for myself, at least. So I'm happy to take the risk on Tsimikas. I just think a £4 million fullback for Liverpool is just too good to pass up on, so I'm not going to do it. And we all know that injuries, whilst they can come back sooner, Robbo could be out for 6 to 8 weeks. He could suffer some setbacks. So Tsimikas could be there until the second international break. It's unlikely, but I'm willing to take that risk, and I'm not too worried about blocking that third Liverpool spot. The other change, which is the first time I've done it all pre-season, is Sanchez has come in for Backman. Now, I've been tooting the horn of Backman, and I do think that Backman's more likely to get those hauls, and I do think he's more likely, to get those 12 pointers, make more saves. The reason I didn't have Sanchez previously is because I had Veltman or Webster or Lamptey covering that Brighton spot. But as you can see now in the team, I don't have a Brighton defender, and I do think they'll get quite a few clean sheets early on. So I'm having Sanchez in there for the clean sheets, but I don't think he's likely to get those big hauls because he just doesn't make that many saves. It was under 3 saves a season last year on average, so he's not even getting the 3 saves for the bonus points. For the save points, sorry, he's not getting the bonus points. So it's very likely to be sort of 6 or 7 pointers with Sanchez, but I don't mind that if he's going to tick over nicely. So yeah, covering the Brighton defence, 2 attacking fullbacks in Trent and Shaw, an attacking fullback in Tsimikas. Whilst he's an unknown quantity, I do still really like him. We've got Ayling in defence, who's been in most of my drafts. The main reason for that is I think from Game Week 3 onwards, the fixtures are quite nice for Leeds. Also, in Game Week 3, when Tsimikas plays Chelsea, I'll probably keep Trent in my starting lineup, but I'll drop Tsimikas to the bench and I'll put Ayling in for his nice fixture. I think it's against Burnley. So I like that rotation between Tsimikas and Ayling. And then you can see the 5th defender is Amati. It might not be Amati. It's just going to be the £4 million defender that I think is most likely to start. It might be Livramento. I think now that Leicester look like they're going to sign Yannick Vestergaard, I don't think I'll want Amati because he'll probably come out pretty quickly. So I think Livramento, someone like that, Manquillo, whatever £4 million defender looks most likely to start come Friday afternoon, that's who will be in there. So that's the back 5. Let's move on to the midfield. With the midfield, Salah and Fernandes have been the ever-presence. I've spoken about them in every single draft. They will be almost definitely the 2 captains for the first 6 game weeks. I think it will be Mo Salah in game week 1, 2, 5 and 6, and potentially Bruno in 3 and 4. But I will respond to whoever's performing well. If Bruno's performing really, really well, I might captain him in more. If he's performing poorly, he might end up coming out, and I might end up captaining Salah in all of them. So I like both of those as captaincy options. And as I've spoken about previously, the main reason for Fernandes, as well as being a fantastic player, top point scorer last season with great fixtures in a good team, is that it allows you to switch to a second premium pretty easily without having to play your wild card. So if Kane or Lukaku look like they're going to be fantastic options, it's only 2 moves to do that. If Son starts to perform really well, or I really want Mane in, obviously I've got Tsimikas blocking the third spot, but KDB, Sterling, if I want one of these players, it's a lot easier with Fernandes in. So I like the flexibility it offers, and I also just think he's a great option. So Salah and Fernandes are, I said I don't like locking players in, but with 24 hours till the deadline, Salah and Fernandes are locked in my team. The other 2 spots are open for debate. However, I am now growing. We'll start with Ilkay Gundogan. Now, he hasn't been in any of my drafts previously, but I have been monitoring it, and I just think he looks set to start game week 1, potentially 2, 3, 4. We know that when KDB was out last season, Pep just played Gundogan in pretty much every single game, often played 90 minutes, and he made those marauding runs forward from central midfield, and we know he can get on the score sheet. We know he's just got that natural tendency to arrive in the box at the correct time. He scored 3 goals in pre-season. He scored a brace in one of those games. I just really, really like Gundogan. And last season, we know he hauled against Tottenham within the space of like 60 minutes. He received like a 17-pointer. So we know he can score goals in big games. We know he has that haul ability, which is quite strange for a central midfielder, that they have the ability to get 2, 3 attacking returns in one game. And obviously, I really like that Norwich fixture in game week 2. And I do want to go into that fixture with some Man City coverage. Now, potentially another option is to start game week 1 with someone like Mason Greenwood or Harvey Barnes. Assess which of the Man City options look best and then go for them in game week 2. Because, for example, if Ferran Torres looks like he's definitely going to be the striker, then he might be a great option at 7 million. If Jack Grealish looks set to start on the left wing, or maybe he plays central midfield and Gundogan gets benched, obviously it would be nice to collect a week of data, but I don't really want to book in a transfer this early on. I don't want to say I'm definitely going to bring a Man City playing game week 2. I just think Ilkay Gundogan's fine to start with in game week 1. I think he could score against Tottenham, and then I've got him for Norwich. And I do think Gundogan and Mahrez are probably the 2 players that are most likely to start both game week 1 and game week 2. I just can't quite find the money for Mahrez, and I don't necessarily think Mahrez is worth 1.5 million over Ilkay Gundogan. So for the time being, Gundogan is in there, but there is a small chance that I could replace him with Harvey Barnes or Mason Greenwood, who are the 2 that have come out of my recent draft that I do still like the look of. The other option is Rafinha, who, as I spoke about previously, he's come in for Buendia for me because of Buendia's injury concerns. I'm also just not sure that I want to go for the Villa double up because I'm essentially booking in 2 transfers then in game week 3 or game week 4, and I'm just not sure that I want to do that early on. So I really like Rafinha. I know he clashes with Shaw, but again, I've spoken about that. I'm not worried about that one game week, the fact that I've got Rafinha against Shaw. It just doesn't bother me that much because I'm looking further than just one game week. And I just like the fact that if I keep Rafinha in, after Man United, the fixtures do really improve. Yes, they have Liverpool in game week 4, but it's not a particularly challenging run for him. And I think Everton, Burnley, they're really nice fixtures in game week 2 and 3. I do really like Rafinha, and he can score against anyone. He's likely to be on a lot of set pieces, really good open play, direct threat on goal, taking a lot of shots last season. So I think he's only going to improve. I think he'll play a lot of minutes. So I'm fairly happy starting the season with Rafinha. Again, one thing I would say is I have toyed with the option of basically replacing Rafinha with Benrahma or Willock, basically a £6 million mid. The reason I like that is it either allows me to keep 0.5 million in the bank, or it allows me to upgrade Amati to the likes of Connor Cody or Ben White, and it gives me another bench option. So there is a small chance, as well as maybe Gundogan becoming Barnes or Greenwood, there's a small chance that Rafinha becomes Benrahma, would probably be the 6 million mid I'd go for. But I'd also like Sarr, Harrison, and Joe Willock as well. So there are lots of options at 6 million, so there's a potential downgrade there. But I'm fairly certain that those will be the midfield 4 that I'll start with. As you can see at the moment, I've got Brownhill on the bench. Similarly to Amati, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be Brownhill. It just means that at the moment I need a 4.5 million pound defender. That could easily be Morgan Gibbs-White or Gilmore. I just think Brownhill has got a nice balance between looking like he's fairly nailed and having a small chance for attacking returns. I think the upside for Morgan Gibbs-White is higher, but he's also less nailed. So at the moment, that's my midfield 4 and Brownhill on the bench. Let's get onto the front line. So you can see the forward line in front of you. And for those of you, again, that have been keeping up to date with my videos, you'll know that Ings and Antonio have been locked in ever since Ings has got the move to Villa. So Ings and Antonio, again, fairly certain they'll be the front two I go with, unless we hear something about Ings or Antonio's fitness concerns or rotations with Ings and Watkins. But it looks like Ings and Watkins are going to start up front as a front two. I think Ings will play that sort of shadow striker role where he drops a little bit deeper and he allows Watkins to run off the back line. There was a really nice thread on Twitter, I think it was from like iTest FPL, which showed that Ings sort of arrives late in the box and he'll still get into the box despite the fact that he might be dropping deeper to receive the ball. So Ings' positioning wouldn't put me off too much. We know that he's got that natural tendency to get into the box. He's a goal scorer. He's a fox in the box. I still think he'll get goals. And I do still think he'll be on penalties when El Ghazi isn't on the pitch. And there's a strong likelihood even when he is on the pitch, he will just take them off him in the Premier League. So I do like Ings. Ings is fairly nailed. I also like the £8 million price point. I like Bamford. I like Calvert-Lewin. I like even Martial if he looks nailed. Cavani at 8.5. I like the fact that I've got an 8 million striker as well as a 7.5. So I do really like Ings. Ings is almost definitely going to be in my squad. Antonio demonstrates some of the best underlying statistics in the league for strikers for any player in the game, really. I do like West Ham's fixtures, and I definitely want at least one West Ham player in my team. Like I said, if Rafinha becomes Ben Rama, then I could potentially have a double up in attack. So Ings and Antonio are fairly locked in. Now, the new addition is Callum Wilson, and he hasn't been in any of my drafts prior to this, but I did really like the look of him. The reason I haven't spoken too much about him is because I was going to include him in my differential video, and then he got injured, and then I thought, well, it's same old Callum Wilson. He's just going to be injured the whole season. But he recovered from that injury fairly quickly, then played a pre-season game straight after, and he looked fit. So it must have literally just been a little niggle. And I'm looking at this front line, and it is looking like all of them could pull a hamstring at any second. So I know it's a huge risk going with 3 injury-prone strikers. But if I look at my team, apart from Gundogan, the strikers are probably where I'm going to use my transfers early on. I like Bamford. I like Jimenez from game week 3 and 4. So I'm okay if one of these players gets injured or one of them doesn't look quite up to speed. So I'm happy using we get free transfers at the end of the day. So I'm happy to use them on my strikers in this formation. I think there are some great fixture swings around game week 4, specifically for Leeds and Wolves. So I really do like them. I'm just going to share with you guys basically the main reason that I've gone for Callum Wilson. Why has he entered my thinking all of a sudden? So for those of you that don't know, I'm a YouTuber for Fantasy Football Fix, so you can head over to their channel and subscribe and look out for some videos. Yesterday, I recorded a video and I did a lot of research for essentially which was the best striker at 7.5 to 8 million pounds. So looking at all of the strikers, who is the best option. Now, my camera's going to disappear, but I'll carry on talking. This is the Opta stats comparison I did for all of the strikers at 8.8 million to 7.5 million. And I essentially looked at all of the underlying statistics in the past season per 90. So you can see goals and assists per 90, big chances per 90, expected goals, expected assists, expected goal involvement, expected FPL points. And if they were in the top 3 out of this list of 9 strikers, their statistic is in green. So if you just look down to Callum Wilson, you can see for goals per 90, assists per 90, big chances per 90, expected goals per 90, expected goal involvement per 90, and expected FPL points per 90, he is in the top 3. And when you look at an overall rank, if you basically add all of those up and look at where he's ranked out of all of the strikers, he actually ranks 2nd for underlying statistics after Iheanacho, who obviously isn't nailed. So if we ignore Iheanacho because we don't know if he's going to start, Callum Wilson is the best striker looking at underlying statistics from last season. Now, he only played 2,000 minutes, I know that, but I do really like him as an option. And I just think with the really nice fixtures which Newcastle have, the fact he's talismanic on penalties, he's previously performed very well against West Ham, who they have in game week 1. I just really like Callum Wilson, and he's completely caused me to change my draft, and it basically is just for him, because I do think I prefer the 3-5-2 with respect to flexibility. But Gianni commented on my post. For those of you that don't know Gianni, obviously FPL show pundit, really good guy as well, knows his football. And the question I posted was, do I focus on formation and flexibility, or do I focus on personnel? And he rightly said you should focus on personnel, because within 2 moves, you could get back to a 3-5-2 straight away, which is true. If Wilson, Ings or Antonio aren't performing and I can just roll a transfer, I can just do like Wilson and Brownhill to Barnes and a £4.5 million forward. So I can make that switch fairly easily, and I do really like Wilson, and I've just got a good feeling about him. So for the time being, that is the 3-4-3 formation I've gone for. I'm just going to now quickly show you, if I go for a 3-5-2, what that might look like. So guys, we won't discuss this in too much detail. Essentially, the draft is identical apart from 2 players. So if I go for a 3-3-5-2, I can't see myself changing too many other players. Again, as per before, Gundogan and Rafinha could become Benrahma, Greenwood, but I'm pretty sure this is what I'd go for. Essentially, the change I've made is Wilson is out for Obafemi, or a £4.5 million forward. I know Obafemi looks like he's not going to be at Southampton, so it'll be whichever £4.5 million forward I want. So Wilson out for a £4.5 million forward, which allows me to upgrade Brownhill to Harvey Barnes. So a simple way of looking at that is basically it's Harvey Barnes versus Callum Wilson. That's the current decision I'm trying to make. Now, I know Harvey Barnes is a Twitter darling, and I'm sure in the comments, please do give me your opinions, but I know a lot of people will favour Harvey Barnes over Callum Wilson. At this current moment in time, I prefer Callum Wilson. I like the penalties. I like the talismanic nature. I like the fixtures more for Newcastle. His underlying statistics are better than Barnes. However, I think there are lots of good options around that £6.5 million mark, maybe even down to 6 million in midfield. And I like the option that Barnes gives me to then downgrade to Harrison, Sarr, Willock, Benrahma as well. So I think I prefer the flexibility slightly of the 3-5-2, but again, I do prefer Wilson over Barnes. The other reason I do like this 3-5-2 is by doing Wilson to Barnes, I get that extra 0.5 million. Now, the reason I really like that is it allows me to upgrade Amati to Cody, or whatever £4.4 million defender I go. I can upgrade it to a 4.5, which just gives me a bit more flexibility on the bench. And when Tsimikas is inevitably dropped, it means that I do have a backup for Luke Ayling in defence, which I wouldn't have originally in the draft. So I think this draft's a little bit more flexible. I think it allows me to go for a slightly stronger bench, but I like Callum Wilson, and I also like the 3-4-3 formation as well. So really difficult to decide at the moment. I would say if I had to choose at the moment, I'm probably on the 3-4-3. But basically, follow me on Twitter, and I'll make sure before the deadline to post my team if you are interested. Obviously, make your own decisions as well. But if you want to see what I'm going for, follow me on Twitter. I'll post before the deadline. But at the moment, I'm on the 3-4-3 draft. So guys, there you have it. That is my draft ahead of the Game Week 1 deadline. It is fast approaching, but don't panic. You do not win or lose the game in Game Week 1. Largely, your Game Week 1 squad doesn't matter if you react and make the correct decisions throughout the season. You can play an early wildcard if your team doesn't look good. You can make transfers. You can take hits. You can nail your captaincy. So don't panic and stress too much over your Game Week 1 squad. Just try and make a few sensible decisions, have a bit of fun with it, but just know that you've got 38 weeks after this to make decisions and make up for a poor Game Week 1 if you have one. So don't stress too much. Enjoy the process. Good luck with all of your tinkering. I'm just so thankful for all of the support everyone's given on the channel during pre-season. I mean, I only started this channel less than 2 weeks ago, and it's just been crazy, but I've been trying to put out regular quality content for you guys. Obviously, once the season starts, the videos won't be quite as regular, but I'll have at least one per week, hopefully two, and I'll be talking you through the psychology of FPL decision-making throughout the season, and also keeping you up to date with my team. But it's been an absolute pleasure creating content this pre-season. I truly do wish you all the best of luck. I hope you have a cracking Game Week 1. And yeah, I'll catch up with you guys before Game Week 2 when I show you how my team did and what potential transfers I'm considering for Game Week 2. So best of luck. I'll catch you all soon, guys. Thank you very much.